Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to another Team Kitchen Fable video. My name's Sean. I'm here with Steven, who went 6-0 in the Tales of Aria world premiere event in Vegas. He's going to be highlighting his Briar deck. In addition to that, we're going to be talking a lot about the fundamentals of sealed in the Tales of Aria set. We're going to get you ready for your pre-release event, and hopefully you can go crush it. That's our goal here, and yeah, so Steven, I think the right way to start this off is what should people be thinking about when they're looking at their card pool? What should they be looking at when it comes to Aria?
I think more than the card pool, a little bit more I want to touch on a first level basis is that Aria is more of a baseline set than people think. There's a lot of really insane mechanics and there's a lot of combos that you can pull off. But like if you just think about your just natural or your fundamental blocking in this set, you'll do really well. That's what really like skyrocketed me to getting into the 6-0. Just blocking when you need, blocking out those power turns, and then just if you can come back with an attack. If you can, that's fine. It really is okay to take a turn off in this set. Yeah,
it's very combo based, especially with Briar, but even with Lexi. I won't be able to make a lot of comments on Oldhim because I did not play him in Sealed. I did not draft him either of the times that I drafted Aria. It just didn't seem as strong when I was looking at the ability to have unblockable damage. Oldhim is really centered around, in Sealed and drafted in limited formats, around preventing unblockable damage, which is fine, but it can become a problem when you don't draw that blue pitch earth card to activate Oldhim's ability. You don't draw that blue pitch ice card, and I think at that point you're starting to run into problems. And I think as we get into the fundamentals of Sealed, in Aria, I think the first comment I want to make is that the pack is broken down into two types of cards. One type of card is going to be those elements. It's going to be lightning, ice, or earth. And it's also going to be broken down into elemental class cards with a few exceptions. There are base Runeblade cards. There's, of course, your armor piece. There are base ranger cards in the set. And there are base guardians cards in the set. But ultimately, that's going to be your breakdown. And I thought something that was interesting was that, first of all, the core mechanic of Aria is playing your class card, your elemental class card, and fusing it with one of the elements. So you can see Steven showing your Arcanic Shockwave. I fuse that with a lightning card, meaning I reveal that card in my hand, from my hand when I play it, and it gets the bonus of doing arcane damage. Something to note on arcane damage while we're on the subject is it is impossible to block arcane damage in Aria Sealed unless your opponent pulls a legendary like Heart of Ice that does it. So, in general, that is something that you're going to be looking out for. Briar has the most unblockable damage, having access to Arcane. Lexi has the second most, having access to Easy Dominate with Shiver, but also to Lightning card abilities, which you're going to find are going to be about getting a chip damage in that then creates a chain of unblockable damage. And that's the core around the lightning element. So, as I was saying, you have those elements and you have those class cards. So you're going to really want to be evaluating both. And I think the first thing that you should do is you should look at your armor and you should look at your elements themselves equally, right? You should say, do I have enough lightning cards to have them be influential in my Lexi deck or in my Briar deck? And not even just enough, but the right ones, which Steven's going to get into. And then I think third, you want to be looking at, because it's very easy, because each hero has two elements attached to them, it's very easy, just like in drafting. Guys, you guys are going to love drafting this set. But
super good.
Your ability to pivot, even just in an isolated sealed pool, is very, very high. So I would evaluate your elements and your armor first to give you an idea of where you should be going, and then just do a final gut check of how is my class specific pool doing, and if it's not that strong, how is my element pool making up for that, if at all? Um, yeah, so for me, that's all I have to say on the subject. Steven, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think you mentioned a little bit about checking about your elemental cards. It's also just a quick check about how many of each elemental card you have, and that might skew you in a certain direction for sure as well.
Yeah, something like, so I'm holding it in my hand right now. So, in my opinion, the best lightning arrow for Lexi is Frazzle. And what Frazzle does is when I fuse it with a lightning card, oh, perfect, is when you fuse it with a lightning card, when an attack would deal damage this turn, it deals that much +1. So, I'm going to actually take this opportunity to talk about a relatively new mechanic. This is something that has come up in the past, but not as much. And that is damage dealing effects, right? Or effects that trigger on damage dealt. So that is fundamentally different from an on-hit effect. So those of you guys who know, like, I'm not going to get Crush into the picture. Crush is a completely different mechanic. But for instance, when you get pummeled and it says on hit, if you pummel an attack action card and get hit by it, you're going to be discarding a card. That is an on-hit effect, right? And so this this damage dealt effect, something that's triggered off damage dealt, is something that applies to every damage source in the card. So what does that mean, right? Let's say that we have a... Let's go to that last card you used, Steven.
What?
Right
Arcanic
there.
Shockwave?
Yeah, Arcanic Shockwave.
Sure,
So
you got it.
when Arcanic Shockwave is fused, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. That arcane damage is a source of damage from this card. So any damage dealing effects attached to this card are going to trigger twice if both the arcane and the physical is dealt. So take a look at Briar's hero ability. Briar's hero ability says whenever an attack action card you control deals damage to an opposing hero, create an embodiment of Earth. So if that Arcanic Crackle, is that what it was?
Shockwave.
Arcanic Shockwave deals both arcane and physical. You're going to be getting 2 embodiment of Earth tokens off that one attack.
Very good.
The same is true with Frazzle. So if we go to Frazzle and we take a look at Mark of Lightning, we already covered Frazzle. So Steven, if you want to bring that into the frame here, if you want to drag it into the frame.
You got it.
So
I'll put it in the middle for you.
It says if your opponent has defended with a card from hand, you may destroy Mark of Lightning, and the attack deals 1 damage to the defending hero. That is a separate source of damage. In the context of limited, it is unblockable, with the exception of 1 card, which we're going to cover later. And that would trigger Frazzle's hero's ability twice if left unblocked. So when you use something like Shiver for free Dominate, you're going to be able to guarantee those damage dealt trigger effects multiple times. You can guarantee that. So that's just something I wanted to touch on the subject. Steven, I think I interrupted you as you were commenting on some final parts about the fundamentals of the Aria sealed.
Nah, you're good. Cool. That's fine. We can keep going.
Cool. So I think now's a good place to segue, and at the end of this conversation, you guys, we're going to be talking about the entire pool as a whole. We're going to rank the heroes. We're going to talk about some of the key cards that I think will point you in the direction of 2 of the heroes. But Steven's hovering over Ball Lightning. What an incredible card. That card is so good.
Busted.
Yeah.
Talk about it later.
Yeah, we definitely will. Steven, why don't you go ahead and jump into... I see you've got the Sigil of Suffering there. It's a great card on the sealed pool, but...
Very nice.
Yeah, start us wherever you want us.
Yeah, I got it. As Sean was mentioning, you want to evaluate your equipment pieces, and for me, I had 3... one was very, very, very good that led me to pick Briar, which was the Suckleaf Suede Hides. Just a pretty, almost free source of Go Again, and all you have to do is play a non-attack action card and pay 1 resource. And, we play non-attack action cards as Briar because of other choices, like triggering the Embodiment of Lightning, which is basically almost a Quicken token, except it doesn't trigger off of attacks, or weapon attacks. So Embodiment of Lightning, what it says, I don't have it up here right now, but it just says the next attack action card you play this turn gains Go Again. That's pretty good. You want to get your turns with Briar as wide as possible. Then we have the Mark of Lightning, which we touched on a little bit. Whenever a lightning or elemental attack card controls defended, you deal 1 damage. Briar cares about that a lot because that 1 damage does trigger Briar to get the Embodiment of Earth. And we have a few extra pieces, especially Ball Lightning over here, which will make it deal an additional 1. And just these cards right here are just like best friends. The rest of my sealed full had 2 Ragamuffins hats. This card, I didn't use it a single time, but you know, it was there. I think I only thought about using it once during the game, whereas I thought, oh, my opponent is at 1 health, I kind of want to dig a little deeper just to try and find a Sigil of Suffering, and I did it, and it didn't, or I thought about doing it, and it didn't matter. I just drew into the Sigil of Suffering naturally, because it was just like 10 cards left in my deck or something like that. But, you know, it could help you out if you really need to grab a card for blocking or something like that. Maybe you have 1 card in hand and it's Lightning Press. You want to like switch it out, or maybe you need the 3 block. You want to switch out one of your 2 blocks for it because you don't have any Embodiments of Earth. That could be a reason to use it, but like it's not a super fantastic piece that we have going on here. Another thing that I evaluated for my pool was that I had a whopping 12 lightning cards, and all these lightning cards were pretty dang good. And then I had mostly lightning fusion effects, with an exception of, or a big part of them being 4 Veil of Flash, which is also really good for getting kind of incidental go again based on the mechanics of the game of playing your next non-attack action as an instant, which I'll go over in a second. And then we have some Inspired Lightning. They're non-attacks that you Lightning Fuse, again, more Lightning Fusion, because that's, as you can see, based on the fact that I got 12 Lightning cards, I decided to go heavy on the Lightning Fusion kind of tech. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Lightning Fusion Matters cards. So I use that to my advantage to kind of like be consistent in the fusing. You could definitely look at your pool and go a mix of the 2 elements, but I found that sometimes if your pool is, you know, helps you out enough, you go 1 single element and just be consistent in what your plan is trying to do, and that will help out just a lot, just to get in there. The only Earth cards I decided to include were just like basic Earth cards, and I have 0 Earth Fusion related stuff, but like just 2 to buff for 4 is good in limited, so you're not upset by doing this. It's also a non-attack action card, which Briar cares about, not only for playing it, but also for just for blocking. It could be, depending on how many Embodiments of Earths you have, you get an extra block. And then the Summerwood Shelter is almost sort of, you know, a block 4. You have to block with another card, but you know, this and any other card would be basically a block for 6. So I'm just putting it in there just for the sake that it can buff for 4 advance. Pretty much all my cards. All these nice elemental cards get buffed by it. The base elemental attack actions, these as well, which already get buffed by Embodiment of Earth, can really just boost it out. So, with Briar, we have the dual damage of arcane damage and just the physical damage. And as mentioned earlier, Briar does, anytime we do damage, it means we'll get an Embodiment of Earth. So, we have a lot of really good mixed damage here. Arcanic Shockwave dealing 1, and then this ratio right here, just this Arcanic Shockwave, 4 damage, 1 arcane damage. It's really annoying for your opponent to defend against, and you'll basically be almost getting either like 2 cards out of their hand, or you'll be creating 2 Embodiments of Earth, making your block turns just feel really, really good. So a lot of easy lines of play, or most of the lines of play that I went to doing during the sealed was playing Veil of Flash, fusing it with one of my lightning cards, and then playing this almost sometimes even the same lightning card, especially really good with Electrify. If you play Veil of Flash, you fuse it with Electrify. Depending on how your opponent blocks, you can even play Electrify right then and there. And not only will you get go again because you played it as an instant, and go again still gives you an action point, but if they didn't block to block your full damage, the deal 3 damage does trigger on the Veil of Flash hitting. And then obviously if it gets from Arsenal, you even draw a card for your troubles, which is amazing. We got Amulet of Lightning, which is a really good card. We Lightning Fuse all the time. Like I said, we're Lightning Fuse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, again, like 8, 9, 10 cards that Lightning Fuse. So anytime you Lightning Fuse, you can also get yourself an extra go again from this card. So you can do, like, if you know, a real great turn with 5 cards would be like Arcanic Shockwave, fuse it, give it a go again with Amulet of Lightning, maybe attack with Veil of Flash, show again the same non-attack action card, play it, and then hit with the Rosetta Thorn. That's like one of the biggest turns. You do like 4, 5, 5, another 5, 10, 12, 14 damage, or maybe more if Electrify hits and something like that happens. But I'm going to talk about a little bit about Lightning Press. It's like the only really sort of attack action-y type of card that you have to worry about is sealed. If you are worried about dying and you're trying to block out perfectly, you do want to keep an eye out on Lightning Press. In my sealed pool, I only got a yellow for 2, but it still does work to get those on hits, to get you those Embodiment of Earth. You kind of want to play it whenever you get the chance to do that extra 2 damage, and it works really well with a card called, or our favorite card in the whole set, I think. Sean loves this card as well as much as me. It's Ball Lightning. You just get an extra damage on top of the one that you're piling on already. I put in some extra Rejuvenates. This Rejuvenate, I found that I didn't use it all that much. It's a non-attack that's great for blocking. It already blocks for 2, as most elemental cards do. But it can get buffed by Embodiment of Earth. And but in the Mirror or in the Briar, like kind of like all the classes have some sort of way to push through damage. Oldhim and Lexi have mostly Dominate, and Briar has Arcane damage. There's a way to kind of like ease your life total a little bit. Also very good on turn 1. Game 2 and 3 life, just gonna play those for that. Invigorate. One of the things I did learn about Invigorate, I learned it a little bit later during my later rounds, is that sometimes you just want to play Invigorate as a 0 cost to just trigger your Briar ability to play 2 non-attack actions in the turn. It does feel a little bad where you play it and your next on-attack you don't fuse it, or your next attack and you don't fuse it at all. Trust me that it's still fine and worth it to just play this and maybe a flash, or not a flash, or Electrify, get you an Embodiment of Earth token, then you play one of your really cool attacks. Most of my attacks that I got were hitting for 4, 4, 5. We got Singeing Steelblade, which is great for 4 as well. This is like one of the best cards. Again, 1 arcane damage, 4 damage. That's kind of where you want to be. It's almost a little worse here, but we got Lightning Fusion. Yeah, that's pretty much all the cards. We got like Shock Strikers, just kind of like there's some filler attacks. They're 1 for 5, 1 for 4, 1 for 3. They're fine. If they don't block it and you have the extra resources to go around for it, you can pay for the instant ability and deal 1 extra damage. And again, the damage is separate than the on hit of dealing the damage. So you will get 2 Embodiments of Earth just from this 1 card if you do get it off. It's pretty much all my cards here, unless you think I missed one, Sean.
No, I think you covered everything, and I think I just want to sum up the deck here. I think what's great about this is it's very lean, but it still has enough blues to be able to handle Frostbites. So the thing about running Earth Briar is the cards are very costly. So getting a Frostbite applied to you, whether automatically by Lexi's ability or a Code of Frost or something like that, that can completely stop your turn as Earth Briar, because Briar's very reliant, especially on the Earth side. In order for her to get unblockable damage, she needs to play 2 actions, an attack action, or 2 actions to get that Embodiment of Lightning, an attack action into Rosetta Thorn. Steven's doing the same thing here, but he has the option to stay lean and maybe only play 1 attack action and 1 action. And most of these actions have go again, so you can still go into that Rosetta Thorn for unblockable damage, which I think is really good. And I think your choice of supporting cards was solid. A turn 1 Rejuvenate is always good, or even an end of turn, or even just a fused Vela Flash with a short hand can get you a heal on top of it. And I think that the instant defense reaction that you've got there, this is something that is super important. And I think that if it is in your pool and you are running Briar, you should be running it because it is going to... And keep in mind, Steven can't use this on any of his Lightning cards or his base Runeblade cards, so it can become a dead card. But it is so important against Briar and Oldhim because he has access to Dominate on his attack. Lexi. Yeah, they have access to Dominate. So it can keep them from closing out a game, or it can keep you from preventing some of those damage dealt effects that chain off of Lightning. An Earthlore Surge +4 on attack can never really complain about that. Last comment I have there is, and this goes into what Steven was saying at the beginning, is this is a very setup combo-y set, whether you're regardless of hero that you're playing. So I just want to point out that like that card Electrify is probably, as much as Ball Lightning is great, I would say that Electrify is the best card in this deck because it adds 3 damage to your turn. Oh, Steven, did we freeze out? Hey, you guys. I just want to say thank you so much for watching the video. Unfortunately, my internet went out in the middle of the interview, and we just didn't have time to get back to it. My internet stayed out for at least 20 minutes after we had that conversation, but we did get through Steven's deck. So if you guys appreciated the content, if you guys got a better understanding of how to engage with Aria overall, what to consider with your pool, but didn't get a chance to see all the cards you wanted to, I would definitely recommend going out to watch something like Arsenal Pass, or go onto the Fab TCG Channel Fireball website where Carol goes over the card pool and what to consider for sealed and pre-release. I highly encourage you guys to go to that. Thank you guys so much for your patronage, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.